If you're not willing to take risks, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot live fully. That's not just a catchy line. It's the truth of life itself. Look at nature. Look at progress. Look at every story of transformation. At the center of it all is risk. Avoiding failure is the fastest way to guarantee it, because you either chase your dream and stumble forward, or you sit still and watch it evaporate.
You know what's interesting? Every single one of us, no matter where we're from, no matter what we've been through, wants two things in life. We want to feel alive, and we want to achieve something that matters. That's it. Strip away the noise, the opinions, the distractions, and the comparison game on social media, and at the core, it's simple. We want a life that feels meaningful, and we want to know we mattered while we were here. But here's the catch. Wanting it is easy. Living it, that's where most people quit. Because to live a life that's both meaningful and successful, you've got to be willing to do what others aren't. And let's be honest, comfort is seductive. It whispers, stay here. It's safe. Don't risk it. Don't try. Don't put yourself out there. But you and I both know safety is a prison dressed up as peace. Think about the times you played it safe. Did you really feel alive? Or did you feel restless, like something inside you was being suffocated? Life's not meant to be lived in neutral. The car was built to move, and so were you.
If you're not willing to take risks, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot live fully. That's not just a catchy line. It's the truth of life itself. Look at nature. Look at progress. Look at every story of transformation. At the center of it all is risk. Avoiding failure is the fastest way to guarantee it, because you either chase your dream and stumble forward, or you sit still and watch it evaporate. And here's the thing most people don't want to admit. Growth will never feel safe. It will never feel like the right time. It will never arrive neatly packaged with a guarantee of success. Growth always feels uncomfortable at first. Think about it. A seed breaking through the soil doesn't look comfortable. It cracks open. It stretches. It pushes against dirt, rocks, resistance. But if it doesn't, it never becomes a tree. Muscles tearing in the gym don't feel pleasant. But without that tension, without that controlled damage, there's no strength, there's no power. Life works the same way. You are designed to grow through resistance, not to avoid it, but to lean into it. So the question becomes, will you play it safe, or will you gamble on yourself? Because that gamble, it's the only bet that pays off. Now listen carefully. The gamble isn't about recklessness. It's not about throwing everything away. It's about choosing discomfort over regret. Safe choices keep you where you are. Risky choices stretch you into who you could be. And every breakthrough in history, every story that inspires you, every leader you look up to, all of them were gamblers of growth. Think about the inventor who spends years in a garage building something the world has never seen. Do you think that felt safe? No, but the gamble gave us light, electricity, technology. Think about the athlete who trains in silence, taking the risk of failure on the world stage. Do you think that felt comfortable? No, but the gamble gave us greatness. Think about yourself for a moment. How many times have you stayed in the same place because you were afraid to lose, afraid to look foolish, afraid to be judged? But deep down, you knew the risk you didn't take cost you more than any failure ever could. That's the cruel paradox of life. We think risk is dangerous, but the real danger is avoiding it. Because when you avoid risk, you avoid growth. And when you avoid growth, you avoid life itself. I want you to imagine something. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a cliff. Below you, there's water. It looks deep. It looks uncertain. Your heart races. Your mind whispers, "What if I fall? What if I fail?" Now imagine you step back. You walk away. You feel safe for now. But years later, you remember that cliff and you think, what if I had jumped? What if I had trusted myself? And that what if haunts you more than any failure ever could. That's what I mean by the growth gamble. It's choosing to jump, not because it's easy, but because it's the only way forward. You see, the gamble isn't just about achieving something external. It's about becoming someone new. It's about proving to yourself that you are more than your fears. When you gamble on growth, you win even if you fail, because failure carries lessons, and lessons are fuel. Failure reveals what you're made of. Failure strips away ego and builds resilience. But when you gamble and succeed, you step into a version of yourself you didn't even know was possible. You look back and realize the risk was never really risk. It was an investment in you. So let's be clear. Playing it safe might feel good today. It might give you a moment of relief. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will you be proud of that choice? Will you look back and say, "I'm glad I stayed comfortable"? Or will you wonder what could have been if you had gambled on yourself? Because here's the truth. Your dream requires risk. Your future requires risk. Your life requires risk. And if you're not willing to gamble on yourself, no one else will. So the question I leave you with is simple. Will you step forward into growth or step back into comfort? The choice is always yours.
There's a part of you, deep down, that knows survival, that knows hunger. You felt it before. That fire in your chest, that tightness in your stomach, that surge of energy when something matters so much, failure isn't an option. When you really want something, you fight for it. You don't wait politely. You don't tiptoe. You go after it. This is what I call the killer instinct. Not anger, not ego, but that relentless drive that says, if I don't chase this, if I don't commit, if I don't give everything I have, I'll starve on the inside. Because hunger isn't just about food. It's about desire. It's about purpose. It's about that thing you know you were meant to do and the refusal to let it slip through your hands. Most people, they bury that instinct. They cover it with comfort, with excuses, with routine. They tell themselves, it's fine. I don't need more. I'll settle. But settling is slow death. And you were not built to settle. Think about the lion. It doesn't get fed, it hunts. Every day it wakes up. Its survival depends on one thing, its ability to chase, to fight, to kill. That's the killer instinct. Now think about the eagle. It doesn't beg for scraps. It soars higher than any other bird because up there, it owns the sky. Every creature in nature has it. Survival is wired into their DNA, and so is yours. But here's the problem. Modern life has dulled it. Comfort has softened it. We've built couches, screens, shortcuts. We've created a world where food shows up at your door, entertainment is in your pocket, and distraction is always one click away. And while comfort makes life easier, it also makes people weaker. It makes them forget the instinct that built civilizations, conquered mountains, wrote books, built empires. That instinct is still in you. You just have to wake it up. So how do you wake it up? You put yourself in positions where you have no choice but to fight. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop telling yourself later and start telling yourself now. Killer instinct isn't about violence. It's about clarity. It's about being crystal clear on what you want and going after it with zero hesitation. Think about the moments in your life when you were desperate, when you needed something so badly. You didn't care what anyone thought. You didn't care about how tired you were, how scared you were, how impossible it looked. You just acted. You just moved. You just pushed. That's killer instinct. And the truth is, you don't need it every day. But when it matters most, when the door cracks open, when the opportunity shows itself, that's when it has to come alive. That's the difference between people who dream and people who do. People who dream wait. People who do pounce. Let me tell you something you already know deep down. Life does not hand success to the polite. It does not reward hesitation. It rewards those who see the opening and strike. Killer instinct is the ability to move when others freeze, to trust your gut when others doubt, to act boldly when others hesitate. But here's the catch. Killer instinct doesn't come from theory. It comes from pressure. It comes from struggle. It comes from being in the arena where there are no guarantees. That's why the people with the sharpest instincts aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who were tested, who got knocked down, who failed, who lost, and came back hungrier. Because every setback sharpens your edge. Every rejection toughens your skin. Every obstacle forces you to dig deeper. And every time you choose not to quit, you sharpen that instinct. Some of you listening right now, you've been through hell. You've been underestimated. You've been told you can't. You've been overlooked, ignored, forgotten. And maybe part of you believed it. But if you're here, listening now, I know something else is true. That spark inside you never went out. You still feel it, that restlessness, that hunger, that whisper that says, there's more. I can be more. I can do more. That's your killer instinct calling you. And if you choose to answer it, if you choose to stop settling, stop hiding, stop playing small, you will unleash a version of yourself the world has never seen. Because the killer instinct isn't about hurting others. It's about refusing to let your potential die inside you. It's about fighting for your dream as if your life depends on it. Because in truth, it does.
Let's get something straight. You will fail. Yes, you. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. And that's not bad news. That's freedom. Because failure isn't the end, it's the tuition you pay for greatness. Think about it. Every person you admire has scars you don't see. Every champion has a trail of defeats. Every success story is really a story of persistence disguised as failure. Thomas Edison didn't fail 10,000 times at making the light bulb. He succeeded 10,000 times at learning what didn't work. Michael Jordan missed more shots than most players ever took. But because he kept shooting, he became a legend. J.K. Rowling was rejected 12 times before someone finally said yes to Harry Potter. Imagine if she stopped at rejection number 11. Do you see the pattern? Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the pathway to success. But here's where most people get stuck. They think failure means I'm not good enough. They treat it like a dead end. They let embarrassment, shame, or judgment chain them down. But listen to me carefully. Failure is never final unless you quit. When you fail, you're not being punished. You're being taught. Every setback is feedback. Every mistake is information. Failure is life handing you notes for the next attempt. Think of a baby learning to walk. They fall, they stumble, they trip. Sometimes they cry, sometimes they laugh, but they never say, "Walking isn't for me." They keep trying, they keep failing forward, and eventually they walk, they run, they soar. So why do adults forget this? Because somewhere along the way, society told us that failure equals weakness, that mistakes equals shame, that imperfection makes us less worthy. But the truth is, perfection doesn't exist, and those who chase it never achieve anything at all. What makes you strong is not how many times you avoid failing. What makes you strong is how many times you rise after failing. Resilience, grit, persistence. These are forged in the fire of failure. Every stumble toughens your skin. Every rejection sharpens your focus. Every loss builds humility and hunger. So instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What will I learn if I do?" Ask, "How will I grow?" Because here's the reality. You will fail. You will fall short. You will get it wrong. But that's not the question. The real question is, will you get back up? Most people don't. That's why they never succeed. They taste failure once or twice, and they fold. They let it define them instead of refine them. But the few who keep going, the few who rise one more time than they fall, those are the ones who leave their mark. Look at your own life. Think of a time you failed, but kept going. Think of a time you thought it was over, but you pushed through anyway. Where did it lead you? What strength did it uncover in you? That strength, that's who you really are. Not the failure, not the stumble, not the mistake. The bounce back, the persistence, the rise. That's why failure is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. And the only real failure is quitting.
Comfort feels good, doesn't it? The couch, the TV, the endless scrolling on your phone. The little voice that says, "Relax, you've done enough. Do it tomorrow." And in the moment, it feels harmless. It feels safe. It feels like you've earned it. But here's the truth no one likes to admit. Comfort has a cost, and it's far more expensive than effort. Effort drains your energy in the short term, but it pays you back in growth, in progress, in pride. Comfort does the opposite. It rewards you instantly, but quietly steals your time, your ambition, and your future. That's the trap. Life doesn't punish you immediately for staying comfortable. It's sneaky. You don't notice the damage at first. You skip one workout, nothing happens. You delay that project, no big deal. You waste an hour, then another, then a whole day. Still, nothing dramatic happens. But that's how comfort works. It lulls you into thinking you're fine while silently robbing you of momentum. Then one day, you wake up. You look back and you realize you've traded years of potential for ease. That's the moment most people regret. Not the mistakes they made trying, not the risks they took chasing something. No, the deepest regrets are always about the chances they never took, because comfort kept them still. Look around you. The world is filled with people who once had fire, ambition, big dreams, but now they're stuck. Not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't worthy, but because comfort won. Comfort whispered, "Why struggle? Why push? Why risk?" And they listened. But here's the thing. You're different because you already know this truth. You can feel it in your gut, that quiet discomfort that says, "I could be more. I was made for more." That restlessness, that's your future self calling you out of the trap. Think about the people you admire, the innovators, the leaders, the athletes, the creators. Do you think they got there by choosing comfort? No. They traded ease for effort. They sacrificed short-term pleasure for long-term growth. And because of that, they became unstoppable. So let me ask you, what are you choosing? Every day you face a decision, comfort or growth, now or later, your dream or your excuse. And the scary part? Each choice adds up. Each decision builds a pattern. And before long, your pattern becomes your life. Comfort will always be tempting. It will always feel easier. But it's a thief dressed as a gift. It steals silently, it steals slowly, and one day it will steal everything you could have been. Don't let that be your story. Don't trade your potential for a pillow. Don't sell your future for a fleeting moment of ease. Choose the hard thing now so you can live the good life later. Because comfort might feel sweet in the moment, but discipline tastes far better in the end.
Motivation is overrated. Yeah, I said it. Because motivation is a spark. It flares up, it feels exciting, it makes you want to run through walls. But here's the problem. Sparks don't last. They burn quick, they fade fast. How many times have you felt motivated one day only to wake up the next and feel nothing? That's the trap of motivation. It's emotional. It depends on your mood, your energy, your circumstances. But discipline is different. Discipline is the fire you build brick by brick. It's the structure that keeps burning long after motivation dies out. That's why consistency always beats intensity. 1 hour every single day will crush 10 hours once a month. Think of it like this. Motivation asks, "Do I feel like it today?" Discipline answers, "It doesn't matter. I said I would." Discipline is brushing your teeth even when you don't want to. It's showing up to train even when it rains. It's writing that page, making that call, taking that step, especially when you don't feel like it. And here's the secret. When you practice discipline long enough, it becomes identity. It's no longer something you do, it's who you are. Motivation might start the journey, but discipline finishes it. Motivation pushes you out the door, but discipline keeps you walking when the road gets long. Motivation gets you excited about the idea of success, but discipline builds the reality of success. So choose discipline. Build consistency, because a life built on motivation will always collapse. But a life built on discipline will stand forever. Motivation is overrated. Yeah, I said it. Because motivation is a spark. It flares up, it feels exciting, it makes you want to run through walls. But here's the problem. Sparks don't last. They burn quick, they fade fast. How many times have you felt motivated one day only to wake up the next and feel nothing? That's the trap of motivation. It's emotional. It depends on your mood, your energy, your circumstances. But discipline is the fire you build brick by brick. It's the structure that keeps burning long after motivation dies out. That's why consistency always beats intensity. 1 hour every single day will crush 10 hours once a month. Think of it like this. Motivation asks, "Do I feel like it today?" Discipline answers, "It doesn't matter. I said I would." Discipline is brushing your teeth, even when you don't want to. It's showing up to train, even when it rains. It's writing that page, making that call, taking that step, especially when you don't feel like it. And here's the secret. When you practice discipline long enough, it becomes identity. It's no longer something you do, it's who you are. Motivation might start the journey, but discipline finishes it. Motivation pushes you out the door, but discipline keeps you walking when the road gets long. Motivation gets you excited about the idea of success, but discipline builds the reality of success. So choose discipline. Build consistency, because a life built on motivation will always collapse. But a life built on discipline will stand forever.
Opportunity will knock on your door. But here's the truth. If you're not ready, it'll pass you by. So many people wait for the big break. They pray for luck, for timing, for the right person to notice them. But luck is not magic. Luck is simply preparation meeting opportunity. Think about it. If the door opens and you're not prepared to step through it, it won't matter that it opened at all. That's why preparation matters. It's the silent work, the unseen hours, the practice nobody applauds. People don't see the sweat behind the scenes. They only see the performance on stage. They don't see the missed parties, the late nights, the study sessions. But those hidden moments, that's where greatness is built. Because when your chance comes, and it will come, you'll either rise with confidence or shrink with regret. And regret? Regret is heavier than failure. So sharpen your skills. Do the work now. Build your readiness today. Because opportunity waits for no one. And when your moment arrives, you'll want to be prepared to own it.
You may not be the smartest, you may not be the most talented, but you can always outwork the next person. Always. Work ethic is the great equalizer. It doesn't care where you came from, what your background is, or what obstacles stand in your way. If you're willing to put in more hours, more focus, more consistent effort, you will rise. See, talent can shine for a moment, but talent without effort eventually gets exposed because someone, somewhere is grinding when others are sleeping. And when the lights come on, the one who worked harder always outlasts the one who relied only on talent. Late nights, early mornings, long hours. It's not punishment, it's proof. Proof that you want it enough to earn it. Now, every great builder knows this truth. Skyscrapers don't appear overnight. They are built brick by brick, floor by floor, with relentless labor. And your dreams are no different. Your work ethic is the hammer. Your persistence is the cement. The question is, are you willing to outlast? Because most people quit. They start strong, but they fade when it gets hard. They confuse effort with discomfort, and they run back to ease. But not you, because you know every hour you put in is an investment. Every sacrifice is a seed planted, and eventually the harvest will come. So keep working, keep building, keep proving, because the world doesn't reward what you wish for. It rewards what you work for.
Now here's the part that matters most: action. All the inspiration in the world means nothing if you don't move. You can read the books, you can watch the videos, you can write down the goals. But unless you take action, it's all just noise. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for permission. The perfect time doesn't exist. The only time is now. That dream you've been holding on to, it's not going to build itself. That change you've been thinking about, it's not going to happen while you sit still. Life will only change when you move. So get up. Start small. Take one step, then another, then another. And before you know it, momentum takes over. Momentum is powerful. It doesn't care if your first step is messy, awkward, or imperfect. It only cares that you start. Because once you start, once you commit, doors begin to open. People notice, opportunities appear, and your future begins to shift. Your past does not define you. Your mistakes do not define you. Only your actions today define you. So don't let fear hold you back. Don't let doubt write your story. You've carried those excuses long enough. It's time to drop them. Stand up, move forward, and don't stop until you build the life you were meant to live. Because the world doesn't need more dreamers. The world needs more doers. And today, right now, is your call to action.